Course 3, Session 3.
Ready?
Go.
Okay, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We express our praise and gratitude to Allah Ta'ala. We seek blessings on the Prophet, peace be upon him. Okay, so we're essentially in part 3 of the surah. Every once in a while we have to have that adorable little smile walking in.
I know, right?
Yeah. Oh, I was actually talking about Omer. No, I'm kidding. So part 3 of why do you actually have to go in front of the camera?
He's been dying.
He's recording.
He's been waiting for you to see.
So remember that part 3 begins at about ayat 75, and what we're looking at are the causes and manifestations of kufr. And of the manifestations, we've already seen a couple. We've seen the wrong things people do in relationship with Scripture. We saw wrong things people do in relationship with their oaths. Wrong things people do in terms of the law. And we've been looking at, those were the manifestations, and then last week we were looking at some of the causes. One of the causes is that sometimes you just don't want to believe, right? That when it comes down to it, looking at all the reasons why the Quraysh rejected the Prophet, peace be upon him, sometimes the only real explanation is that they just didn't want to accept it. Everything else, tradition, wealth, power, that's all there, but they were going to have a better situation with the Prophet, peace be upon him. And so sometimes people just in a stubborn way don't want to believe. And to really make the example, think about the time, all of us who are parents, when you have your child and you want to give your child something that the child is going to like a dessert dish. And the child's like, no, I don't want it. And then you make your child eat it, and the child's like, no, right? Even though it's completely delicious, right?
That's...
Yeah. We've all been through that, right?
Yeah, that's my daughter. Every meal.
Yeah. Of course, then there's the time I introduced my daughters to orange chicken. They're like, we don't want to eat this. This is the worst thing ever. Why are you making us eat this? Oh my gosh, this is the best thing I ever had. What have you been waiting for? Why do we take so long to eat this? Usually it doesn't play out that way. So the point is that this is how these people are behaving at the adult level. It's essentially the same thing. Another reason why people reject, another cause of kufr is, where did it go? Sorry, it's going up and down while I was cracking these jokes. Okay, another cause for kufr is despair. These are the people who are saying, our hearts are covered up, we're too late, we're in too deep. That is a form of despair, and that earns the curse of Allah upon you. So keep this point really, really serious, that we do not have the privilege of giving up on Allah Ta'ala. And if we give up on Allah Ta'ala, that is earning the curse of Allah Ta'ala. So what does that mean in practice? It means you always have to have hope. No matter how horrendous your situation is, no matter how hopeless your situation is, you still have to force yourself to have hope. That things will get better. And by things getting better doesn't necessarily mean that the horrendous situation is going to go away. It could mean that you can handle it. Right? So suppose you have a terminal disease. Terminal disease is not going to go away, but you may have the strength to actually emotionally get through it. Right? That's not like, we had a total technical breakdown. None of us knew how to press on. Another issue, another cause of kufr is jealousy. That some people get jealous. That what plays out as Allah Ta'ala giving His grace, His bounties to whomever He wills. And for some people, it's just jealousy, and it stays as jealousy. But jealousy can be a cause of kufr. That for other people, it moves from jealousy into rejection. And so they respond with this jealousy with anger for what they believe they're not getting. Bring us to ayah 91.
So which ayahs are these that you just reviewed?
Up to 90.
From 80...
So 75 to 90.
Okay. So, you mentioned jealousy. What would be an example of that today? That we would see?
Well, suppose you're working really hard for something, and someone else gets all the prizes, right? Someone else gets all the attention.
But why would that might be jealousy of other people, but like how would that lead to rejection of the truth of like
So that would be like the kernel. Okay, it itself is not rejection of the truth, right? But it's like, essentially think of jealousy as a pathway towards, as a form of ingratitude. Why does that person get everything? I don't get anything, right? Okay, so what would be a simple common example? Okay, so here we have our class, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in the class, right? And then you have someone who comes along and they have 200 people in their class, right? And then for me, it's like, I come here, I do all this, and then, nobody shows up, and that person, they all show up for that person's class, right? It becomes like sour grapes, right? Like an ingratitude type thing, right? But the point is that ingratitude in itself is a problem, but that's the pathway towards rejection.
it's a pathway towards rejection.
It's a cause. It's a cause of
Cause, yeah.
So 91. What is qila lahum aminu? So and when it is said to them, believe, bima anzalallahu, believe in what Allah has sent down. Qalu, they say, nu'minu bima unzila alayna. We believe in what was sent down to us. Wa yakfuruna bima. Hey, Sophie, were you raising your hand for a little while ago? Okay, I don't know if you're raising. I figured you were like in a pose or something. I guess I was right. Okay. We believe in what was sent down to us. Good. But they reject what is sent down to the prophet, or they reject what has been sent down beyond that. Good. Even though it is the truth.
Oh my God.
So what's taking place here? They're saying we believe in what God has sent down to us, and they reject everything else. And here, this is a different point. They're being called out. Okay, why did you kill God's prophets if you were indeed believers? What's the action here taking place? They're claiming to be in belief, but their actions are showing you that they're in disbelief. They're not following their book. So this is the simple cause of kufr, because what is the cause of kufr here? You're not following the book, which is a very, very simple cause of kufr. So look at what we've been talking about. One reason people don't follow is just because they don't want to follow. Another reason people don't follow is because of despair. Another reason people don't follow is because of jealousy. Another reason people, let me start all over again. Well, one reason people reject is because they don't want to believe. They just don't want it. Another reason people reject is out of despair. Another reason people reject is out of jealousy, or it's starting from jealousy. Another reason people are rejecting is a very simple one. They're not following the book. They're not following the instructions. That is a pathway towards rejection. This is probably the most relevant for all of us, because we're already in Islam and everything. But keep in mind that all those things where I am not following Allah Ta'ala, that is a pathway to rejection, right? Yes, ma'am.
What if your capacity doesn't allow you to delve into, the depths of what's required of you as a Muslim, but the little that you know, and you don't know that much, and you follow that, and that's it.
So, I mean, none of us are on the same scale, right? So there isn't like this universal scale that everybody has to be on, right? Otherwise, we're all doomed, So
it's not graded on a curve, is what you're saying?
I'm saying it is graded on a curve.
It is graded on a curve.
It is graded on a curve.
Yeah.
You're like, mind blowing.
Wait, but if it's graded on a curve, then we're all sort of held up to the best person. Right?
No, opposite.
But we're not. Right? That's what a curve is, isn't it?
The grade on curve is like, where...
Each person has their own
but
scale.
the thing is, though, if you're graded on a curve, then...
Okay, well, let's forget the whole curve analogy.
But my point is...
That didn't work.
No, but the point is that we're not graded against somebody else.
Yes,
we're graded
correct.
independently.
You're graded according to you. Yeah.
We are our own measuring sticks?
Yes, that's exactly what we're saying. So that's the
Curve.
In some languages we might call that a curve, but in other languages we might not call that a curve. Yeah.
Consistent with mathematics and curve.
Okay. So essentially what we're saying is that ifat is graded according to ifat, right?
Right.
And ifat is not graded according to Omer.
Definitely.
And then if it's like, darn, because I would have gotten straight
You'd be
A's on that
straight
one.
into Jennifer.
So what that means then is that you're graded according to your capacity, right? And so then my focus becomes not on reaching Mount Everest, but figuring out what is the next level up I can get to, right? And then once I'm stable there, then what is the next level up I can get to from there? That's my focus, that's my goal. Right.
Can you pause just for 30 seconds?
Maybe you can review what you said again,
Well,
because I missed half of that.
Yeah, she just said.
I was
I
gliding.
to repeat when I get back on. I had to restart everything.
I was beating the kids, so just if you can.
Oh, that's
You were-
it, that makes
I
sense.
You were
brought
on
new
91.
markers, so I left my whole marker
Oh, I actually
box.
brought my markers too.
I
so
left my
in case-
entire marker box at
We have
the
to draw
kitchen.
something.
This is markers.
And so I found these and I had to buy them. I bought them
Oh, you got the
in
board
honor-
dudes. The
in
board
honor
dudes.
of you.
Oh, thanks. The board dudes.
Can we draw the
I know
prayer?
these markers very well.
Can I draw the
And like sometimes the board dudes actually have pictures of people on them.
I saw that. I was like, and I thought about you.
There's also like there's this restaurant on Roosevelt Road called Mr.
Call me.
It's called Mr. Causes of Kufr. So a simple so what's taking place here in the ayah on its own? Okay, they're being told believe in what Allah Ta'ala has revealed. They respond, we believe in what Allah Ta'ala has revealed to us. Yeah.
Okay.
What they're not mentioning is that they reject everything else. Yeah. So they're rejecting the Prophet, peace be upon him. But then they're being called out for what they do claim to believe in. If you believe in what Allah has revealed to you, then why were you killing prophets? So the point is that they're claiming to believe in the book that Allah has revealed to them, but even then they're being called.
They're violating even their own.
They're not even following their own book.
I see.
Right. As a cause for kufr, it's simply that point. That if you're disobeying the text, then that is a pathway to kufr. Right. So this goes back to Ifit's question. That if I am, I have to look at all those things I'm not fulfilling in the book. Right? Every one of us has a list of things that we're not fulfilling in the book. And the question is why. It's one thing if it's honestly an inability to do so. Yeah. Now, honestly, an inability to do so doesn't mean, okay, well, if I can do it, if I completely change my life, change everything 100%, right? Because even then you might not be able to do it, right? If it's, if it's anything more than stubbornness, for example, laziness, right? Just like the example of, okay, so now with the time change, Fajr is going to be super late for a while, right? Compared to, especially what our business schedules are like. And so, if I'm someone who normally doesn't pray my Fajr, but now it's extra easy, and I still don't do my Fajr, right? I gotta ask myself why. Fajr is always the easy one to measure. See what we're saying?
Yeah.
So a cause for kufr is disobedience of the book itself. There's obviously a lot more of these ayahs, right? We're looking at these ayahs
Sure.
in terms of more like looking at the thread that's taking place through. Okay, ayah 92. Oh wait, I don't know. Are they? Do you see?
Now?
Yeah.
Or is she? Do you see
I
Nilfra?
don't see her there.
Okay. And get another appearance. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. Just as long as it's not like Homer running back and forth. Yeah.
You killed the prophets of Allah if you indeed have been believing.
Oh.
هو الحق مصدقا لما معه.
Put a wall there.
فإذا تقتلون نبيا الله من قبل كنتم مؤمنين.
It's always scary when you get an email from an uncle.
We're here.
Oh, you're
Oh,
here?
you're there.
Okay.
Yeah, we've
Alright.
been here. Sorry, I was typing. I forgot about the mic.
Oh.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Let's go.
All right. 92. وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ مُوسَى. And indeed Moses came to you بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ with clear proofs. Clear proofs. ثُمَّ اتَّخَذْتُمُ الْعِجْلَ. And then you took the camel, min ba'dihi, after that, wa antum zalimun. So this we've talked about the story, right? The
Camel
story
or
of-
calf? It's just
Did I
calf.
say camel?
Yeah.
Well, it shows you where my mind is. It's not camels.
Okay.
So then you took to the calf. So here is a big cause of kufr, which is what? When you take something else as an ilah other than Allah. Right? Also here. Okay. And then Omer comes back, his black eyes. So, when you take something as an ilah other than Allah, a point we discussed a long time ago, I think, was that you create a whole theology around it. Okay. You create a whole morality system around it. So, for example, if I take money as an ilah, that becomes my highest priority. That becomes my highest thing of value. Which means anything that will get me closer to money will be something that I prioritize. Anything that keeps me away from money, I'm going to reject. So if you have iman in something, you're going to do jihad in the way of that something. Okay. If you have iman in Allah, iman billah, you're going to do jihad fi sabilillah. Okay. If you have iman in money, meaning you're deriving security from money, then you're going to do jihad in the way of money. Right?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I think that what comes into play is like a person's like personality and
A
their
person's
drive.
personality.
Personality. like, they're like some people are more driven than others, you know. So
Yeah.
say somebody like doesn't have their
Especially.
Just let it go.
There it comes. There it comes. You know who has more drive than others? Chauffeurs.
Oh my god. That was a bad one.
Cab drivers? Or?
I'm sorry.
Are you going on a hungry stomach? Or are you
Yeah, it's I'm just like out of whack because of the time change.
The time change, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are they saying? So some people say they don't have their far like down pat, you
Yeah.
know. But the reality is nothing in their life is down pat. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not a matter of like them not striving for it, but they just don't have that capacity or that personality, that drive to get to that level in anything.
Mhm.
So where does that stand? Do you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely. I mean, one of the most important things that if a parent doesn't give a child, the child will never recover from is if the parent doesn't give a child a sense of stability, right? If I don't have a sense of stability, I will spend the rest of my life looking for it. I will never find it.
I guess what I'm saying is some people like they will not strive like they're very like I don't want to say complacent, but they're just happy being where they are.
Not motivated.
And you know, but to them it's not if they don't feel amotivated, they don't feel unmotivated. They're not committed to anything. They're just sustaining and they're happy with that. So if they're not making their namazes, you know, they're kind of like, okay, well, I'm also not progressing in my career. I'm also not progressing.
Okay.
You know, I'm not hitting those like benchmarks, but I don't really care because it's not a matter of me caring. That's just how I am. You know? Like it's a personality thing.
You
And
have
some
to-
people are like that, but they're going to do that's one thing that they're going to do is they're going to do their namazes on time.
Well,
And then there are other people who
that's
won't do namazes.
huge, right?
Yeah.
If like all someone did was their namazes, then
Absolutely.
that would be very huge.
I guess I'm
Right.
just saying, how does personality play into it? Because some people.
Well, I'm taking it even a step back further, right? That how you are raised will have tremendous effect on your salvation, right?
Right.
Because the way you're living your life is going to be the result of how you're raised, and it's going to also be a response to how you're raised, right? And so that will play out definitely in your religious outlook, right? I mean, how often do you see the case where the parents are super duper religious and the kids are 100% the opposite, right? You know, it almost seems like the minority of the cases where the parents are super religious and the kids are super religious, right? Then it's almost kind of strange, like how do they manage to get that to work, right? And so the point is that I'm saying that a big portion of your personality is being formed by how you're being raised, right? Which includes not just your parents, it also includes the circle of friends around you and all those other things.
So a follow-up question to the raising thing that I always wonder is at what point does the parent not take part in the transgression of the child against God?
That's a good question. I used to think that maybe by the time you're about 40 years old, you really start shedding yourself of those things, and I've discovered watching many of my peers and such, that it's like those issues play out even more.
Because I guess the reason I ask that is because like you can have a child who's like in their 40s, fine, in their 40s, and
Yeah,
their
they
parents.
wouldn't be a child, but yeah.
So no, but it's the parent's child, right? So
Yeah.
so say the parents are still, they still kind of hold them in an accountability, by understanding them, by trying, whatever you want to do, And there are others who maybe they don't even want to know. So their child is maybe doing wrong since the age of like their early teens, but parents just don't know about it. What responsibility do they have to do? It's a very practical, relevant question, I think,
It is, but I think it's hard to answer, right? Except on a case-by-case basis. So what's the advice? The advice from Ali is what? Radiallahu anh, is, the first 7 years that you play, it's like next 7 years you mold and discipline them, and then after that you become their friend, right? So what we're saying is from age 14, as a parent, you have to be interacting with your child as a friend. Meaning, as you interact with your friends, that's how you have to interact with your child.
We'll see them as a peer? Is that kind
almost,
of what it's saying?
if you think about it, like, okay, if you're in your 40s, you might see someone who is in their 30s or in their 50s as a peer, right?
Sure.
And someone who's 14 has the same intellectual capacity, the level of intellect as someone any age older. I'm saying that from experience teaching. That by the time they're 14, they understand everything that an 80-year-old, 70-year-old, 60, 50, 40, 30-year-old understands. They may not have maturity yet, right? And I think the mistake happens is that parents keep themselves in parent mode, right, authority mode, rather than peer mode.
But how often do peers have so much of an effect on you? You actually stop doing something that's wrong or start doing something that's right.
I think when the parents take the role of peer, automatically they're commanding you to have a level of self-respect because they're teaching you, they're speaking to you with a type of respect, as opposed to a authority subservient dynamic. And I think that would affect this person's psychology tremendously. That we rarely see, especially in our back home culture, but in society in general. And then so now imagine that. So we're saying that theoretically you cut down on the authority role when they're 14. Now take the case of someone where the parents still take the role of parent when you're 24, 34, 44, 54, and think about what that does to your own development and all those things, right? So,
That's interesting.
right, everyone in the room is like, gosh, my parents were horrible people. No, that's all right.
Well, I'll pause this because I'll be starting. Okay.
So back to I-92, the basic point being that when you take something as an ilah other than Allah, it creates your whole lifestyle around that. It creates your whole thought around that, your whole outlook around that. So you have iman, then you will also define nifaq too, right? So iman with Allah means nifaq, hypocrisy, is essentially you're doing all these wrong things, but you're claiming to be a believer. So think about if I take a'udhu billah, money as my ilah, then nifaq would be, some bizarre world where I'm claiming to be someone who is very serious about money, but I'm doing something the opposite, right? I'm even trying to imagine what the nifaq would be, what would be the hypocrisy of someone who takes money as ilah.
Probably charity.
That I'm secretly, I'm pretending to be someone who is focused on money, but secretly I'm very altruistic. It could be something like that. Yeah. So the point is that this is definitely a pathway to kufr. Now, another thing to think about is that it's not apparent in this ayah, but everyone does take Allah Ta'ala as their ilah. So the question is, what else does someone take as an ilah along with Allah Ta'ala? You never stop taking Allah Ta'ala as an ilah. That is always somewhere within you. You can reach a point of kufr where you're completely shutting it off, but it's still there within you. So, in a way, these people would be mushriks. That they are partnering something with Allah. And so then my concern for myself would be, what else do I take as an ilah other than Allah? Now keep in mind, if I'm committing sins, if I keep committing the same sins, it doesn't mean that I'm taking something else as a god. Now, continuing that point, I-93, we'll look at I-93 and then we'll probably take a break for Salah. So when we made a covenant with you and raised the mountain above you, we said, take hold of what we have given you with firmness and be obedient. Wasma'u. They said, Sami'na, we listen, wa'asayna, and we disobey. So they're being told by Allah to obey, and they're saying we listen, we disobey. Why? Because the love of the calf was in their hearts, or the calf it was
made to drink.
Yeah. That it was as though they drank the calf, or drank into their hearts the calf with kufr. Okay. Yes, sir.
Was this the way their hearts were like feeling, or was this the way like they were like how can I phrase this? Like why was or no like in the like it said the people listen and they disobey, and obviously like whenever I read something in the Quran like the meaning, I think this is in the Quran like in really literally meaning.
Okay.
So basically, did they literally say,
Yes.
like, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yeah.
Or was that just the state of their heart?
Yes, it was the state of their heart, and yes, they said it.
Oh.
Yeah. So what else is taking place? As mentioned, it creates your whole outlook, your system of iman, your system of values. And so the result is going to be that which Allah prescribes, you will find repulsive. And that which supports your ilah, you will find attractive, tasty, delicious, appealing, something you're thirsty for. And so think, and we talked about this example different times in the past, that when someone would come to the Prophet, peace be upon him, narrating a sin, okay, I did this, and what's the Prophet's immediate first response? Sorry? Even before that, someone, sorry? Even before that, the first thing he would do is he'd turn his head away. Right? And so you can read this two ways. One, he didn't want to hear sins. But two, that became his reflex. That when someone would mention something that was repugnant to Allah Ta'ala, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Think about it, like you ever watch like videos of like animals getting slaughtered like in a slaughterhouse, and then you just look away?
Cringing, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Right.
You would cringe.
And then some people, Safi's probably like, oh, this is how you kill a chicken. No, but I mean for for
What?
Well, my dad was in Pakistan on
okay. So anyway, so the point, the best are to look at mom's expressions. It's just like, what am I going to do with my son?
My dad slaughtered a cow. That's pretty deep, man. $1,000 a month.
You know,
Nation.
so I'm picturing like Dr. Hurum, like, you know, like flexing all these muscles. Yeah.
Bandana.
Yeah, exactly.
I think somebody else did. He must have been just standing there.
And of course, the necessary comment from the wife. You know, like there's that joke in about there's this joke, you know, that Sufis often make. That you know, this man was a wali, or no, okay. So this man was a wali of Allah, and he had this ability to start flying, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then this man says to his wife, "Did you see that man in the sky flying?" And the wife says, "Yeah. I feel so honored. I saw a wali in my life." And the man goes, "Well, that was me." And she goes, "Yeah, I noticed how he was so slanted and he was shaking." Yeah. So the point here is that if a'udhu billah, someone takes something other than Allah as their ilah, okay, then whatever Allah Ta'ala prescribes for them, they're going to find repulsive. Think of the case of someone who is so addicted to alcohol that if you give them orange juice, they're going to spit it out. Okay. So this applies to everything. Yeah, it's very sad.
So like,
How do you reconcile like having like a slow response to stuff like that in society maybe is just like whatever, like alcohol, you can be like, oh god, you know. But then like, are you being judgmental to people who do it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
If
you know
you're
when-
being judgmental of a person, sure, but I mean, you can focus on the behavior.
Because I feel like when you have that response, like I think, like there will always be people. Well, you know, you don't know what it's like, or you know what I mean. They kind of feel like you're being judgmental.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's the act. It's not a person.
I
Right?
think in our society, some of that is legitimate, but some of that is oversensitivity. Like people don't want to be called out for the wrong that they're doing. And I always give the example of when I drive by, 294 Near O'Hare, I pass by that casino, and then I just start cursing out the casino. I'm like, stuff it all up, right? And then part of me wants to curse out all the people of Des Plaines. Like, why could you guys stop this? Sorry?
How do you allow this?
Yeah, exactly.
Why
Like,
not?
I know I consciously am thinking of these massive Des Plaines people, like who are just like.
Because whenever I look at the casino, I always like, oh, it's so pretty.
so it says, you know, well, I was saying that.
Okay.
So it says washrabu. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
they
why-
were made to
why-
drink, and I mean, is that also implying that it was like feeding their heart in
That's
a way?
exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
And so
It like permeates their whole system. Like the love of the calf permeates their
they
veins.
craved it. It satisfied a certain yearning
Yes.
in an unhealthy way.
Okay, let's stop right here. And then, let's take a break for Salah, and then we will continue inshallah with 94.95.
I think you mentioned this